Alrighty. Howdy Neighbors and welcome back to First Snow. Last time we met our main lady, Allison, and our friend decided that we were going to start a club. So we gotta work on that. Anyway, let's continue. I still don't feel like I've been pulling my weight when it comes to daily life with Rose. But at least I can help with errands like groceries. Her attempts to teach me handiwork skills have been less successful. Even this much has been a learning experience. My parents usually doing the shopping back when I lived with them. Reaching the apartment, I find Rose crouched outside and working on her motorbike. She looks perfectly content as she whiles away her time with tools spread around her, like a child happily playing with their favorite toys.
Hey.
Working on the bike again.
Hey!
Oh hey, that was quick. She levers herself up with a grunt, before pulling back to the edge of one bag, with a finger to peer in, then another. I'm worried as she checks over my work. Trying to hold my breath as she does isn't exactly helping. I'm not used to this arid smell of her smoking. But maybe that's a good thing. Good work. Everything we needed, and no weird impulse buys. Do we need any more window cleaner? Oh. Do we need any more window cleaner, though? You said to grab necessities if they're on sale and don't spoil, right?
Uh-huh.
You're learning. Can you help me down here when you've put everything away? I need another set of hands. Without anything particular planned for today, I agreed before heading inside. The rickety stairs creak as I slowly head up with groceries in my hand, fumbling with the door handle. My arms are thankful for the relief once I managed to drop the bags in the apartment after opening the door. Opening the fridge, I get to work, stuffing the frozen and cold items first. Next, I open the cabinets and start ladling in the cans and boxes. As empty shelves fill, I get an odd sense of satisfaction from caring for myself. Living as an adult is busy work, but it's rewarding in its own way. There's an odd and unexpected feeling of accomplishment from doing even simple tasks. I'm sure it'll wear off in time, but I'm holding on to it for now. Good for you. With the job done, I close the cabinets and back up to look at the room. Everyone is barely any warmer out inside than out. I suppose there are downsides as well as upsides. Putting it out of my mind as best I can, I head back down to Rose. Stepping back outside and closing the door behind me. Familiar acclaims and bangs carry in the air as Rose works away. Best arrive, would you? Quickly take a seat near her on a patch cleared of snow, grabbing one of the torn up is what I'm sure it's supposed to be, piece of old shirt and handing it to her. She seems to be cleaning out some part of the engine or another. Anything interesting happened at school? Not really. Schoolwork isn't too hard so far. Our friend wants to start a club. A club, huh? That's cool. What kind? An art club, apparently. I'm not really sold on it, though. I need to study. She basically came up with the whole idea by herself. Rose passes the rag back and puts the part in place, pressuring me to hold it while she wrenches it back in. After a few grunts, the job appears to be done as she puts the wrench down with the clang and turns back toward me. Life's not about studying. I know you were a teacher's pet back in high school, but you can stand to be a bit more social. And it's this again. There's a downside of living here. So much of my time spent alone with Rose. There's, for better or worse, no easy way to escape her questioning. I know she has my best interest in mind, though. I'm glad to have someone around to help me get the grips on adult life, even if I did find her intimidating at first. What's your college life like? Never had the chance to go. I'm gonna feel a little surprised if she gets back to her bike. I've only known Rose for a couple of months now. I'm still finding out new things about her all the time. Maybe you get why I'm on your case about all this stuff now. Not everyone gets the chances you have, so make the most of it. Good parties, get some friends, find a boyfriend sometime. Whatever doesn't last, that'll be short. My family always pushed me to put such things aside and focus on my education. So that's what I did. The simplicity of life back then suited me just fine. And it worked out well, going by my scholarship. I was never really interested in boys, because I was so caught up in learning, is what I like to say, but I'm honest enough with myself to know that that's not the whole story. Seeing Eileen last week reminded me of that. Women like her keep catching my eye. Oh! So she's not like a woman, she's a woman. Good for you. And then there was a painting of hers. As time goes on, the difference in what I like and what I like looking at it gets harder and harder to explain away.
Allison?
Allison. I gently placed a rag in her outstretched hand. Rue was using it to try to rub some of the oil and grease off her hands. I'm sure she wouldn't mind if I'm not straight, if that's truly the case. Well, I'd like to talk with her about it. I can never quite seem to find the right time.
You right? Huh?
Yeah, I was just thinking about how life is complicated.
Whatever you say.
Sure is. Hey, you bought that ice cream I asked for while you were out. It's in the freezer now. Why? Well, we have some. Could use a treat after working all morning on this. I have strange ideas of what makes a good dessert in cold weather, but I'm not going to stop her. The two of us start packing up. Another peaceful day rolls by. A loud yawn from Rose emanates from the couch. The drone of the television briefly overshadowed. The only other sound is the coffee pot boiling away from the kitchen, punctuated by the occasional passing car. Only half awake and still acting on autopilot, I lazily wipe the sleep from my eyes as I stagger toward the door. The smell of Rose's toast wafts invitingly through the air, making me envious of her later start to work. I let out a yowdle on before I could stifle it, causing Rose to look over from the couch.
Hey.
Nice tattoo. Oh wow, you look like hell. Thank you. Is that what you laid playing on your phone or something? Don't look like you got an hour's sleep. While Rose is less than tactful about this, it's true that I shouldn't be so tired. I'm usually a morning person, but right now I can barely remember where I even put my phone. Rose picks herself up from the couch as she finished her breakfast, brushing toast crumbs off of herself as she starts toward the kitchen. Just the neighbors being loud again. Surprised I didn't hear them. I may say that, but it's hardly any real shock. She sleeps like a log, which I've always been jealous about. Rose puts down the plate in her hand, giving the matter more thought than I'd intended. The ones above us, right? Man, I'm sick of them. I'm gonna have a talk with them later today, get them to knock it off. Making a racket during the day is one thing, but the night's another. You don't have to do that. They might be quiet from now on anyway. She looks surprisingly disappointed at my attempts to wave off her concern. You have to stand up for yourself sometimes, Allison. Wait for things to blow over, ain't always gonna work. I wind up rubbing my neck and avoid outright answering. Really dropping the topic, she sighs and disappears into the kitchen after taking her plate again. I just don't want to cause a fuss, especially on my behalf. Is that really so bad? With time rolling by, I glance about and see my phone at the corner of the table. Slipping it into my coat pocket, I skip over and grab my bag sitting by the door. As I stretch a bit, trying to wake myself up before facing the cold outside, it was called out from behind me. Turning to see her shows a fistful of crumpled dollar bills and a hand thrust out toward me. Here, go buy yourself an espresso or something on the way.
Huh?
It's fine, you don't have to. Just take it, you look awful. She really does have a way with words. I reluctantly take the cash and slip it in my pocket, thinking of Rose as I leave. As soon as I get out the door, the weather hits me. Looks like it's gotta be a harsh winter this year, with the cold of snow dumping down being made all the worse by the chilly fog hanging in the air. Twisting my head to and fro, to bury it in my scarf a little better, I set off down the road, with hands firmly lodged in my coat pockets. There don't seem to be many people around that are braving the weather. Not that I blame them. As the muffled sound of snow under your tires rings out, ghosts shuffle by. It's only after a worrying few seconds that I remember I did indeed put the garbage out for collection yesterday. Reaching the campus, the welcome sight of the cafe nearby lifts my spirits. I've overheard students mention that the coffee here is good, and it's conveniently right next to the campus. It looks homely enough from the outside, but only has a handful of people inside at this hour as I peer in through the windows. With a quick brush the fallen snow off my shoulders and a bag, I take a breath and walk in. Bell above the door rings out as I enter. Smell of coffee on the air combining with the homely styling inside, making for an immediately cozy atmosphere. Joining the couple of people in line, I quickly rehearse my order in my mind to make sure I get it right. Barista's nice smile toward the other patrons keeps making me trip over myself, and I've never been great at dealing with strangers. I go to the front of the line. I managed to blurt out my order of a latte with sugar before I can mess it up. She smiles and takes my payment, leaving me to wait inside as it's prepared. I briefly consider having it here, given how relaxing the cafe is. This was before I noticed Capri, loudly chatting with the tall man across from her. I'm surprised I didn't notice them. I must be really out of it. As the cute barista slides the coffee cup toward me, I said I'd better leave the two in peace and drink outside. Before I can, Capri catches sight of me and begins excitedly waving her hand in the air.
Allie! Hey, Allie! Over here! Allie!
Yeah, I'm not embarrassed. Not at all. So much for that. Coffee in hand, I warily walk over to the table and look from one to the other.
Morning, Caprice.
Caprice. Dang. I was saying Capri.
Wallace.
I keep wanting to say Capri. Capri is moving her backpack over the chair and placing it on the floor. I take a seat.
Allison here is a good friend and one of the founding members of the art club.
The new art club.
This is Caprice's rodeo. I'm content to let her deal with the club as she wants at this point. It takes me a moment to realize she's referred to me as a good friend in particular. We've only known each other for a couple of months since the semester started, but I'm a little glad she thinks of me like that.
Hi, I am some guy Caprice found.
Same, dude.
He's our fourth member.
As he sighs forlorningly, all I can offer is a stilted smile in response. Caprice looked so comfortable dealing with him that I assumed they knew each other already. What to think of it, Caprice had no problem dealing with Eileen either, despite barely knowing her. I'm impressed at how she can talk to strangers with just the same confidence as friends. Maybe she considers him one already.
So what'd you get up to over the weekend, Allie?
Just housework and errands. It's surprising how much time I spend on that sort of thing now that I've moved out.
I get what you mean. Thankfully, I split the work with my roommates.
It's my roommate that makes me want to pick up the slack. Caprice looks to Wallace for his input. Make him part of the conversation.
I look after the family gun shop on weekends. Nothing glamorous, but enough to get by on.
Oh no. Caprice continues on chatting, mostly to him. Wallace quietly nods along, adding a yeah or I see as needed. I get the distinct feeling he has been talked at with being talked to. Now that we're both sitting across from each other, I can fully appreciate how much of a bear this man is. cutting more of a foreboding figure thanks to his beard. I could already feel myself shrinking in response. For want to not stare at him, I turned to the coffee steaming away before him. A flat black, with the lid taken off to let it cool faster. I can taste how bitter it is just by looking at it. The conversation is suddenly interrupted by my phone going off. Apparently, Caprice's, as her hand dives into the front pocket of her hoodie and retrieves it. Walt and I just look at each other as she wanders off a few steps to take the call, unsure exactly what to do with ourselves. It takes a few seconds before she returns.
Sorry, guys. Gotta go. Roommates need me.
Wait.
I'll see you two around. We've got much more to discuss.
With that, she grabs her backpack and skips out into the winter air without another word. Run by her face, I'm more worried about this than she is. Left alone with Wallace, I sip my coffee for something to do. I take his direction. He looks more relieved than anything.
She means well.
I know she does.
Even if Eileen doesn't think so, I just have to keep telling myself that.
And now I'm glad I didn't say that. Much as I would like to leap to her defense, she is pushing this awfully hard. If he's trying to start conversation, I feel I should at least try to reciprocate rather than letting him twist in the wind.
So, you and Eileen know each other?
He gives a nod after taking a long sip of his coffee. That must be so awfully bitter.
We're friends. Met when she was a freshman in high school. Caprice saw us together and made the connection.
Oh.
She's filled me in on this club business. I'm going to guess you were pulled into it?
Something like that. It kinda spiraled out of control. Sorry.
Wallace simply shrugs.
Not the first time clubs have been pushy about scouting members. I was actually thinking the whole thing might be good for Eileen. Her single-mindedness is her best and worst trait, really.
It happens.
I don't want to say please put up with Eileen, but I'm having trouble working out a better way to word that.
Also valid.
She isn't a bad person, just driven. I'm sure you know someone similar.
I do shudder. What her reaction would be being told that she and Caprice are similar in any way. I'm still not sure about dealing with her. But it's hard to deny someone worried about their friend. Wallace seems content that he's managed to get his point across. Silence hanging in the air as he thoughtfully sips his coffee. It reminds me that I should drink my own before it gets too cold as well. The weather outside is a harsh contrast to the nice atmosphere in here, which might be why more students are starting to file in before classes start. Coffee's nice as well, so maybe I'll make this a regular spot. If I could afford to, that is. As for my companion, I think I'm starting to see him in a better way. He was concerned about his friend. Maybe he's a gentle giant type, who isn't that threatening at all. With his cup empty as he sets it down, Wallace sits back to savor the last of its taste.
Well, I've said my piece. Caprice will probably give up on me, but you and Eileen are another matter.
Caprice is a good friend. I can handle her. It was nice meeting you, Wallace.
I carefully repeat his name to try to engrave it in my memory. I have no doubt I'd instantly forget it otherwise. He is probably overly hopeful when it comes to Caprice, though. I am the worst with names, straight up. Oh my god, I had a boss for 2 years, and it was only at the end that I remembered her name.
Thanks. You seem nice, so hopefully Eileen will ease off a bit.
He lowers himself off the chair with a grunt, taking a glance outside before grabbing his scarf and hat once more.
Good luck with class.
Thanks. You too.
With that, he leaves the cafe while sliding past someone coming in, staggering through the terrible weather outside as he goes. With my next class so soon, I better finish this coffee off quickly. That in mind, I concentrate on taking as big gulps as I can without looking unsightly. It's funny how one thing leads to another, though. It feels like a snowball's begun to start rolling, meeting new and interesting people since I started here. It might have taken a couple of months, but maybe I'll manage to find some new friends. Study hall. With the weather turning worse and worse as the week went on, the library seemed as good a place as any to spend some time before having lunch. Unfortunately, it looks like I wasn't the only one that had that idea. When the library here is bigger than my previous schools, that doesn't matter much when a large portion of the students are dumped aside. While my first choice would have been using one of the computers, that's obviously out of the question. Worried about looking like a dork as I loiter about, I started walking slowly through the library. Thankfully, nobody pays me much attention as I glance from side to side for an empty table or desk. The students who are actually studying seem to be outnumbered by those gossiping with friends or catching up with sleep. It's only in the far corner of the room that I catch a familiar face, albeit not necessarily a welcome one. Eileen sits hunched over a thick textbook, occasionally scribbling in a small notebook beside her as her finger stops every so often on an important part or another. It's hard to tell if she's annoyed or just studying hard. I consider leaving Eileen to her studying and braving the weather outside. She rubs her temples and looks down mournfully at her notebook. That pose is all too familiar for any student. I feel a bit bad for her, given the vending machine problems and how she wound up with Caprice stuck to her. She doesn't seem to have good luck. She might not be the friendliest person, if I could help her out a bit. With Wallace's words weighing in my mind, I grimaced and accepted my fate as I begin walking to the otherwise empty table. He looks up and catches my eye as I come near, and I guess I'm committed to this now.
Afternoon.
My existence has been noted. I don't think it would sound any more perfunctory, but at least she's shooting me away. In my bag beside my chair as I take a seat, pull my phone to check for any missed messages and switch it to silent before placing it on the table before me.
Hey!
Surprised you're not in the art room. I don't live there, you know. Wouldn't it be more private than here, though? She let out a long, miserable groan as her head sinks. Really difficult to work out what that means. Caprice won't stop bugging me to join her drawing for some stupid theme. What was it? I wasn't really listening. Christmas scenes or something. She's barely even listening to me as she tries to wave me off. Caprice is probably scurrying around campus as we speak, waiting for me to join her as a drawing partner. What are you studying? Math. Kicking my ass. So I need to get my head around it for these stupid Gen Ed classes. As general education, you have to take certain courses in general education before you can start doing the specialty courses. Eileen barely lifts her head from the notebook as she speaks, looking over the table at her work. Various practice equations cover the notebook's page. I have to admit, I do admire Eileen's drive. I was just going to pass some time in the library reading. Seeing her working away made me feel a little guilty. You any good at this stuff? Math? Well, I ended up skipping the Gen Ed class thanks to my placement exam results. Someone spent their time studying, like a good teacher's pet. Something like that. Math and science are easy enough, so I ended up coasting along. I need to learn how to study now that I'm here. Eileen's eyes narrow. Maybe she wasn't exaggerating about her skills. After having such an easy time in high school, it's easy to forget that I'm the odd one out here. Of course, I had put my foot in my mouth, just as I was starting to break the ice with her.
Huh?
I mean, if you want, I can look over your work. She's hardly enthusiastic, but she shrugs and moves herself a little out of the way. Curiosity's gotten the better of me. Coming around the table and looking at the notebook from behind her, I've taken gander at her notes so far. At least it's easy to read, given her immaculate handwriting. The more I check over her notes, the more corners of my mouth drag down. She's done a good job of showing her process. The first couple of questions, covering expressions, look right at a glance. When it comes to polynomials, however, the next two have odd leaps of logic, while the last meanders off into the wilderness. I realize I should say something to express how she's done so far, but the window of time to say something, even mildly positive, to soften the blow has long since passed. It's like that, huh? You got some of it right. That didn't help. Polynomials do seem to trip a lot of people up, so she isn't catastrophically bad at this. Still, considering the first semester of Gen Ed subjects are mostly reviewing what we did in high school, this isn't a promising start. Mind if I scribble on this for a bit?
Sure.
Knock yourself out. Reach over and grab my pen from the other side of the table, before hunching over her book and jotting down a couple of notes. First up are a few pointers on where the first two polynomials went awry. We're taking a parallel crack at the worst of them. Pausing for a moment halfway to check the logic of what I'm doing, I'm satisfied I'm on the right track as I finish off. The result's looking about right. Blaine flips over to the textbook page on cue to check my answer, looking a little dubious as she does so. Vindicated by the matching result, I feel a good bit of relief at not making a fool of myself in front of her. At least one of us has a head for this stuff. Does it make more sense to you now? She takes a thorough look at my scribbles in her notebook. Eyebrows furrowed as she tried to pick up the reasoning. Getting up a glance between my notes and Eileen, as she looks them over. She didn't project an aura of wanting to be left alone all the time. Just her looks and her style would probably attract people. I think so. You don't sound too sure. This is about as confident as I ever get with math, so don't worry. I'll have to repay you sometime. Taking this confirmation that my job is done, I return to my seat as Eileen leans back in a chair. It's nothing really. You should ask your professor, though, if you're not confident in doing polynomials. Needing to ask them doesn't mean that I want to. I know how frank she is. I guess this must be a matter of pride rather than shyness. Maybe that's where her stubbornness comes from. Why are you wasting your time here with me anyway? Don't you have some friends to do friends things with? I only really know you and Caprice. Met Waltz the other day, actually. That Brad is trying to drag him into the club too. Alice may think it might be a good experience for her, but Eileen's disdain for Caprice is going to be hard to overcome. I hear my phone vibrating on the table. Quickly pick it up to see who's messaged me. Quickly force myself to keep a poker face as the name comes into view. She must have given up on art out of loneliness if Eileen's avoiding her and I'm here. I'm not terribly hungry, but I should probably get at least a sandwich or something from the cafeteria before classes begin. Quickly typing an agreement to meet there, I look my phone once more.
Hey.
I'm gonna go grab lunch. Wanna come? Sorry, already ate. Thanks for the offer, though. What the fuck? She's already back to concentrating on her notebook as she mumbles a reply. It's probably for the best anyway. Okay, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and end the episode here. Boop. So, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully, I will see you later.